think I understood when we were in Genesis.
It shattered you.
I really do. I really think so. Man, after seeing that they sewed in fig leaves and that God put coats of skin on them, it was like, man. So what he was saying on the phone that night was true. We can't do this ourselves.
Yeah.
I can't. Nothing that I'm doing right now. I'm not going to be able to build anything to get to God. I'm not going to make my own Tower of Babel.
Yeah. All right, hello everyone. This is Pastor Chris Hewett back with you today, and this is the Hewett Family Podcast, episode 20, Big 20. And thank y'all all. Our subscriptions on YouTube are just going up, and we're so thankful for that. We hope to get to 1,000 soon. So please subscribe, comment, leave us any topics you would like to hear us discuss here, or maybe do some teaching on the podcast. And then please share this, get the word out. And today is a very special day. Very excited to have my guests with me today. We've got Brother Trent and Miss Savannah Ellis with us today, and they have got such a great story. And this week is the 2-year anniversary of them getting saved. Actually, today, while we're recording this, is the 2-year anniversary of them getting saved. And I want you to hear their story. I want you to hear their full story from start to finish. And just want to welcome y'all to the podcast today. And thank y'all. How are y'all doing today? How's everything going? And we've had a good day, haven't we?
Yeah,
we've had a good day. It's awkward, y'all. We've been together all day, and then to come in here and act like we hadn't been together all day. We have had one of the best days at Ridge Road Baptist Church I believe we've ever had. I know since I've been pastoring, and it's just been phenomenal today. But their story's so different. I'm gonna give y'all a little background. I've known Brother Trent since he was 2, I think, right around 2. And his brother, one of his older brothers growing up, he and I were best friends. And so I had not seen Brother Trent in probably 15 years. Is that right, Brother Trent? Yeah. And so it had been a long time. I had never met Miss Savannah. And we're going to kind of pick up into their story. And oddly enough, Miss Savannah had some things going on in her life that kind of, I believe God was touching her. A.W. Tozer called it prevenient grace. So he was touching, reaching out to her, and putting her in some situations. So I'm going to let her talk first, tell a little bit about what she did, the kind of job that they had, and then get into their life. Go ahead, Miss Savannah.
Sure. So right out of high school, I started photography, and at the beginning, I did a little bit of everything. I did, the families, the babies, weddings. I did all of that. And then I started to take a turn into something a little bit darker. Now that I know that it's darker, I can say it like that. But it was just very intimate portraiture, and something just clicked with me one day. And it was just you're going to hell. You're going to hell for what you're doing, and I couldn't get it out of my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that my profession was going to send me to hell. I didn't always think that. It was just certain situations that I had put myself into to try to further myself within that genre of photography, and it really altered my way of thinking. And we had started to think about wanting to have kids, and my studio was based in my home, and that was another big issue in my book of having all of these strangers in our home and the genre that we were taking part in. It was just it didn't feel right anymore. Nothing felt right. And then a couple days later, it really dwelled on my heart, and I spent the whole entire afternoon crying on my front porch, praying. I didn't know I was praying. I was just speaking out loud to God.
Tell a little bit about your religious background too there.
Yeah. So I grew up in a Catholic household, generational Catholic household. My parents' parents were all Catholic. That's all I knew religion-wise. We went to church on Christmas and Easter and Ash Wednesday, and whenever my grandmother begged for us to go. That's the only time we ever went to church. I did do all of my sacraments leading up to confirmation, but it wasn't, I didn't want to be there. I didn't understand it. They had lots of rules and lots of things they were pushing on us as small teenagers, and I didn't understand it. I just went because my parents told me I needed to go. But that's pretty much all my religious background.
So you started praying. You didn't know you were praying.
Yeah. And I just asked God. I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I feel this way all of a sudden. I don't know why I feel like I'm going to hell for this profession, because I loved it. I really enjoyed it, but in my heart, it just took a turn in the wrong way, and I knew I needed to get out of it, and I knew it was wrong. And I knew I was hellbound for it. I didn't know what I could do to not be hellbound anymore, but I guess that's where you start to come in with the track.
So let me say something before you switch over, Brother Trent. I want y'all that are listening to understand, because there's a lot of people that may not even be religious that's going to listen to this, but y'all had everything. Y'all had the American dream. Y'all had finances. You've got a beautiful farm. Mm. You're making a lot of money, Miss Savannah.
We weren't rich back then.
I know. No, I know that. I know. But to standards of our generation,
yes,
which y'all are 10 years younger than me, but you had a lot going on. And a big following. I think you've been in some big magazines, stuff like that. And so I want y'all to just understand that are watching, the American dream's not everything. Right. And if you've ever heard me preach, I say the American dream is the American scheme. So, Brother Trent, before we get into our meeting up after all those years, tell us a little bit about your life, your background, and then get into the testimony part.
Yes, sir. So I didn't really grow up in a Christian home at all. I mean, I'm sure that at one point there was some profession of Christianity in our home at one time. Maybe in like a pass-through conversation or something, but nothing when I was around, at least. Yes, sir. That I can remember. And I'm not saying that, I don't mean that in a derogatory way toward my parents or any of my family members at all, but I didn't grow up in a Christian home. I was raised to work hard. My dad worked hard. My dad still works hard. My brothers works hard. Both of them work hard. My mom even works hard. I mean, not everybody in our family is was very money motivated. And again, I'm not saying that money is the root of it. It's the love of it. That's the root of it. And it's just I didn't, not growing up in a Christian home and stuff like that. I didn't know anything about God. I didn't know anything. I've heard Jesus' name before. Not to the extent of even opening up a Bible. I didn't. I had the kind of quote unquote Christianity. And it was really none, but I'm just going to say that I had some.
Good old boy religion.
Yeah, mine was you keep your Bible on your dresser, and that's what my religion was.
And cry when Brad Paisley sings the gospel song.
Right. Yeah, the one gospel song they all put on their album. Yeah. That was pretty much my background. And again, I'm not throwing my family underneath the bus or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But if I can, I will say. Back up to what I said about it's not money, it's the love of money. I have found out now, after being saved for the short amount of time we've been saved, I see more and more people the hindrance in their life because of the love of money.
Yes, sir.
And people very close to me.
Yes, sir.
And I see that. I see that a lot. But Yeah,
it's okay to have things, but it's not okay for things to have you, and that's the difference.
Right.
So, tell a little bit about the religious experience you had in high school, and then we'll move on to us meeting up.
So I was dating a girl, and she all of a sudden one day wanted to go to this church, if you want to call it that, and we probably went in there probably 2 or 3 times. I didn't really think of anything about it. It was every single time we went in there. I will say this: there was nothing. Nobody had a Bible. I actually never saw a Bible in there. Maybe they had one on the seat, maybe, but nobody was holding it. The preacher was not holding it or anything like that. I don't even remember what the topic was. It was just him strutting around saying some words. Then one day they sung a song, and I don't even know if I've told you this, but they sung a song, and it was I don't remember her name, but she's actually said that she is God on stage, and I cannot remember her name. I don't even want to call her name. But anyway, the band's name is Hillsong, and it was it's the Spirit lead me where my depths are without water or something like that. I don't know, something crazy, something like that. But anyway, that they played that song. And it wasn't, nobody even played an instrument. It was playing through the speakers. Mm-hmm. And everybody was in there. They were going crazy in there. And they all come over. They all, it was like, it was a feeling. It was a feeling, you know what I mean?
Euphoria.
Yeah. And I went up with her. And all these people gathered around us. And they all put their hands on my back and all this. And they were all, I didn't hear anybody openly praying or anything like that. They just played the music and just kept playing the music on and on and on. And we got back in the truck. Everything was good. We got back in the truck. I went out to my truck, got inside, and not before I even left the parking lot, I was exactly the same. Yeah. Nothing changed.
So no gospel. No gospel. You had
no gospel presentation. Yeah. No gospel presentation. No scripture whatsoever. You could hardly. I mean, I'm not trying to harp on the lights or anything like that, but you literally could not see each other in there. It was so dark, And it was 100% about the music is what it was.
So no gospel, no instruction, but you left out of there that day with the impression that you were okay with God because of this experience.
I wouldn't even clarify it as, I wouldn't even say it was okay with God. I walked out there feeling like I had a good day.
Yeah,
that's what I walked out. Okay, feeling like. Not even, and again, that just goes to show you what that kind of euphoria will make you think.
It make you feel good.
God wasn't even on my mind.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know anything about it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So.
Now, before y'all have told me about this, and not again, we're not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but y'all had somebody actually try to witness to y'all while y'all were living in the world. And you may want to go into a little bit about, because I want people to know what God can save you out of, but tell us a little bit about that, Trent.
So I've never really had a gospel presentation in front of me ever, in my entirety, growing up and even being in the world of, so we invite some people over, and we're having a good time, and I don't know how we got on it was every time we gathered around each other, it was pretty much we were either going to talk about politics. It was politics, guns,
anything
beer drinking, or it was something crazy like it got into religion. Yeah. And I say it crazy then. I say it crazy then because I didn't know nothing about it.
Alex Jones religion, not Bible religion.
Yeah, wild, really. Yeah. And me and a very close buddy of mine, we kind of had the same outlook on everything. And I say an outlook. I didn't know, but I'm gonna fight the battle with my good buddy. That's what I was thinking. But anyway, we're asking them question after question after question, and I will say this: they did not have a leg to stand on, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So they did all this, and we're asking all these questions. They had no answers for our questions. The only thing that they could point it back to was faith. And every time they said faith, I would look at the beer sitting in their hand. I'm sitting there thinking, how can you tell me that I need to have faith when it seems like you don't have faith? They're sitting there doing the same exact thing that I'm doing. How are you any better than I am?
Yeah.
You know, what do you have that I don't have?
That's right.
When you're holding the same thing that I'm holding.
Right.
And I'm not making it all about the beer drinking, but that was my outlook on Christianity.
Yes,
if
sir.
you want to, if you're telling me that I can't do something, I have to believe this way. Well, then you need to do the same thing.
Man.
So that was
the extent of that.
That was the extent of the gospel. The first time that I've ever heard it.
Yeah.
Not even the gospel.
Yeah. And so I want to catch y'all up. So at this point, Miss Savannah is having a crisis, really, of what she's doing and the living that she's making. Brother Trent is living the American dream, and if I remember right, you were kind of like, "What in the world? What's wrong with you?" You know?
Yeah, man, we were, you know, and I'm not being boastful. And don't take me that way, but Savannah was making more money than I was, and man, back then I would have. I mean, I'm glad that, you know, we ended up, you know, seeing that it was the wrong thing to do. But at that point in time, I was like, what in the world are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, keep making that money.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we want.
You looked at me like I had 5 heads when I told you
absolutely.
at dinner.
Brother, it was, again, we were not rich, but
No.
that's the most money that I've personally ever seen, you know, in our account in my life. And I was like, man, this is great. This is, you know, we're doing wonderful. Well, before I go into that, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, y'all know my boy Ezra. Most of y'all that listen regular, my boy Ezra has had a lot of medical issues. He's in a wheelchair, and some friends of ours, Hank and Amanda Tiller, had given us a Labradoodle puppy in January of 23, and so the puppy was ready to get picked up. So in between meetings, we went all the way to, I think, Gainesville, Georgia, met them, got this puppy, and even though the puppy was free, y'all know nothing's free in this world. So we're on the way home. We were parked here in our home area, my parents' house at the time, and we stopped at the Tractor Supply that night, and you know, we got the puppy in the buggy, and my little girl's in the buggy, and I think Ezra was in his wheelchair, and we're just in there having a good time. And I see Trent. Look, me and Trent, we got a lot in common. I mean, obviously, I've known his family his whole life. All but 2 years of his life. But you know, he rodeoed. We got a lot of same interests. And I had watched him from afar on Facebook, but we had never been close because he was like 10, I think, the last time we saw each other. So I walk in, and I'll let Trent pick up.
So I walk into Tractor Supply that night, and you know, head down, gonna go get whatever I needed to get, and I was gonna go about my business. Well, for some reason, and you know, and I don't mean to, I'm not calling Ezra out whatsoever. No. He's my little buddy, but when you see a handicapped person, you're gonna swing your head over. You're gonna look at that handicapped person. That's just the world we live in. So. Swung my head over. I saw Ezra. I saw Little. I saw Miss Chloe, and then I saw you. And at the time, I just saw the back of your head. And man, I've never told you this either, but I had this memory in my mind, and it's you and Daniel. We were living in a house. In that neighborhood, Sedgefield, and you and Daniel. We were at the pool, and you and Daniel come walking around, and I remember you in your glasses. That's how I knew it was you. So
and no beard.
No beard. And you were wearing a
Dixie Outfitter shirt.
Dixie Outfitter shirt.
See,
I think we were all wearing one.
We were all wearing Dixie Outfitter shirts.
Yeah. And so I mean, throw that in.
No, you're fine.
Don't
bother me.
So I walked by you, and I wasn't gonna say anything, and I don't know, you know. I wanted to say something. I wanted to go up to you. I knew you rodeoed. I knew all that. I knew me and you'd have we'd hit it off a little bit. And in the back of my mind too, I also knew that you were a preacher, and I didn't know anything about it. You know what I mean? I didn't know you were an evangelist. I didn't know anything about witnessing. I didn't know you was going to hand me a pamphlet or anything like that, or a gospel tract. I didn't know any of that. So I walked over to Brother Chris, and we immediately hit it off. Asked each other how we was doing. Started talking about rodeo, this and that. You still rodeoing? No. Just went on about our business, and then he handed me before we both separated. He handed me this tract, and I didn't even, when you handed it to me, I literally looked at it and was like, oh goodness. Threw it in my back pocket. I was like, all right, whatever. Went on about our business. Well, when I seen him, they were about to go check out, and I had got everything I needed. So I went up to the checkout with him, and we start conversing again. We're back and forth again, and then you did say something to me that night. I don't even know if you remember saying it, but after I got done paying, you looked back at me and you said, "Hey, make sure you read that." Like, all right. I wasn't gonna read it. It was not my plan to read it.
Your cup of tea.
Yeah, it was not my plan to read it. So we leave Tractor Supply, and I'm thinking like, man, it's been a long time. Matter of fact, you had your coach outside. Did you know that?
I do. Yeah. I remember.
And I was like, oh my word, that is gigantic. I think you actually had your trailer on the back too.
So those of y'all that don't know, we have what we call a gospel rig. It's a 38-foot motor coach, Freightliner motor coach, and a family trailer. I think the family trailer is...
Brother,
the whole rig is 65 foot long.
Yeah, you probably need a CDL.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's a recreational vehicle.
I know.
But it's kind of like noticeable.
Yeah. So I was thinking about all that on the way home. I was talking to Savannah on the way home. I get home, I throw Savannah.
Did you read the tract at Tractor Supply, or did you?
So I skimmed through it at Tractor Supply. I don't really remember that. Yeah. I don't know. I know for a fact I didn't read the whole thing.
Yeah,
I know that for a fact. Anyway, well, I almost read the whole thing. I don't think I read the whole thing, but I did read a little bit of it. So I get home. Savannah's sitting there against the island. We usually sit there, and I throw this gospel track on the counter. I was like, check this out. And she's like, what is that? And I was like, I told her about you. I explained you to her. And
he said you were an evangelist. I had to Google what that even was. I had no idea.
Yeah, brother.
So that's funny y'all say that, because when I'm talking to people out and about, and they, back when I was an evangelist, and they said, what do you do? I wouldn't tell them I was an evangelist. I'd say I'm a traveling preacher, because nobody knows.
No.
Yeah.
That's how unbiblical. How little biblical literacy people have. It just,
no doubt.
And that's not a shot. It's
no.
That's the world we live in.
Yeah.
It's funny you Googled it.
Yeah. So, and I don't remember if it was that night. Did you? I can't remember off the top of my head. Did you tell me that you were praying for me that night?
No, we didn't. I didn't talk about the praying until well after. I think it was after we got saved that I had actually told you that I was praying for us to get some answers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's right. So, a couple. Do you want?
Did you read it?
I did. I read it, that whole thing, as soon as he got home, because he left me for a while, and I read the entire thing. And I looked you up on Facebook, because I was like, I don't even know what most of this is talking about. And then you came out and you're like, did you read it? And I was like, yeah, I read it, but I didn't really know what to take out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I still did not read it. I don't think all the way through whole point, this point at all.
Yeah.
I don't think I read it all the way through until probably like a week before I messaged you on Facebook.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I read it. I know I read it through, and I can't, I don't want to say it was a feeling or anything like that whatsoever. It was not a feeling or anything like that. But it was like, man, I've never seen anything like this before. And really, I'm glad it was the King James version too, because the words in there were like, okay, this isn't something that that just come from the top of his head. This is Bible right here. This is and I know you have the verses beside it. I know that.
Yeah.
But the stuff that I was at,
there was no Bible
just up there.
Yeah, there's no Bible.
I remember after I read it, I just kind of sat there with it because, like I said, he left me for a while whenever I had read it, and I just sat there and I was like, maybe this is an answer. Maybe this is God speaking to me, but I don't really know what any of this means. I don't know how to take it. I don't know if what I just read is the truth, because I grew up Catholic and I thought that my infant baptism was all I needed to get to heaven. And reading all of that, I was just very confused.
It literally says in that tract that baptism can't save you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And so that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, so we did not talk after that interaction until mid-March.
Yes, sir.
So you got to tell the funny stuff.
Okay.
You got to tell the funny stuff.
I will.
And so everybody will appreciate it a little bit more, and we'll get further into the serious stuff.
So every day I've got about an hour on a good day, an hour and about 4 or 5 minutes on a bad day. It's every bit of an hour, 20, hour, 30 to work every day. So I've got a good bit of time in the truck to and from work, and I had been listening to Alex Jones, Joe Rogan. I mean, man, I can't remember his last name, but it's his last name is DeGrassi.
Neil.
Neil. Yeah. Been listening to him. I had just been listening to a whole lot of people who thought that they knew a whole lot of stuff about a whole lot of things, and they didn't know anything. And
no offense, Joe, if you watch
it. They didn't know what I know now, at least. Let's say that. Lord willing, they will.
Yes, sir.
But there's just one video that come across, and man, so it started out as a short. Go ahead, you gonna say something?
No, I'm just listening, and I'm gonna get some more coffee. Keep going.
It started out as a short. Like I just scrolled past this thing as a short, and there was this guy in a military uniform, and he had been talking about the Nephilims, the sons of God, and how. Dude, I'll just go into
our viewership just went up right there. I can put that. I can put that in the description that we're talking about Nephilims.
Yeah.
And everybody's gonna watch because we're talking about Nephilims and the sons of God now. Go ahead.
So they had me convinced, right? Like I'll go into detail with it. This man was talking like you go down into this tunnel. They have this elevator that has a secret tunnel or whatever. All this junk.
And at the airport.
In the Colorado airport. Underneath the Colorado
Denver,
airport. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And
y'all watch out there.
Yeah, yeah. And he said, "Man, we weren't allowed to talk about God down there. We weren't allowed to do this. We weren't allowed to say Jesus' name." And he said, "We walked past this bathroom, and the urinals were like 10 feet tall." And I was like, "What in the world, man?" He looked so convincing. So I clicked on the video. I watched every bit of it.
Yeah.
Every bit of it. That man had me convinced that there was Nephilims living underneath the Colorado airport.
Did they have Bigfoot out there too?
No,
I'm just kidding.
No. While they were talking about the Nephilims, they were talking about the spiritual warfare, and that triggered me. Like I was like, man, that sounds like something that's going on. And the spiritual warfare, they started talking about it, and then man, they got some crazy stuff. But after they talked about that, though, it was wild. But it scared me a little bit, and I was like, man, I don't want to, if there's really spiritual warfare going on, I don't want to have nothing to do with that side of it, at least. Yeah. They're living under the airport. There's something wrong there. I mean,
10-foot urinals. Yeah. We can't put up with these 10-foot urinals. I'm doing something about
brother,
this.
I'm scared to death over here, and so I message Brother Chris, and I'm like, hey man, it's a shot in the dark. I got some questions. Do you mind if I reach out, talk to you? And he's like, of course. It was probably 10 minutes later, he messaged me back. He was like, "Oh yeah, anytime. You can do this, this, and this. Here's my number, blah blah." Well, I would.
You said, "Hey brother, send me your number, please. I have some questions I'd like to ask if you have time for it."
Yeah.
Yep.
When did you?
That was March 13th, 2023.
Yes, and I didn't do anything with that
until the next day.
And you said, or what did I say?
You didn't say anything. I just
you said, "Hey, you still?"
I said, "I'm available today if you still need to talk."
Yes. So on my way home, after you sent that, on my way home, I was like, you know what? I'll call him. So I called him. We're talking about the we start, we get acquainted first. I know we've already seen each other at Tractor Supply, but we're having a conversation before we dive off into this crazy mess. And then he's like, "So what's your question?" And I'm not gonna lie, I just laid it out there.
Let me say this: I could hear fear in your voice. You were legitimately, sincerely afraid.
Brother,
I could hear
the
that.
Spiritual warfare that they talked about, it was almost like a world-ending type, I don't know. It was just like an apocalyptic type thing.
That's right.
I was like, oh my word, this could really happen. And maybe not the Nephilims underneath the airport.
No.
I'm not saying that, but the warfare that they talked about was literally like the Book of Revelation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally what it was like. And I didn't know that at the time.
No.
So yeah, I was scared to death. And he answered my question. He says he answered my question. He didn't really answer my question. He answered it enough to be able to push it out of the way. Thank God. And he brought me to the real nitty gritty. He brought me to the gospel, and you gave me the gospel over the phone. And literally, the minute that you explained what a lost person was, I still didn't know. I mean, It was a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
I still didn't know that, the every detail of it. You know what I mean? But if what you were telling me was right about the gospel, then this I'm going to say it like this: this spiritual warfare, I'm lost.
Yeah.
I'm a sinner. I'm going to go to hell if I die. And
you said as much at the end of our conversation.
I agree with you.
You said you were lost.
Yeah. If what you're saying is true, then I'm lost. And again, I was very hesitant to believe you right off the rip because there was no, I don't want to say that there needs to be evidence. There does not need to be. We're saved by grace through faith.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see it.
No authority. There was no authority behind what I was saying because you had no background in these things.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me ask you this, and I don't think I've ever asked you this. So you were at home. Was she sitting there listening to all this?
No.
Okay,
This
go
was
ahead.
on my way home from work.
Okay. I thought you were.
This was on my way home from
Okay.
work. When I got home, so you gave me the gospel. I admitted I was lost. I knew. Well, looking back at it now, I knew that you didn't want to push it. That's why you were kind of like, all right, man, we should meet up sometime or this and that.
Well, can I remind you what I said that day?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I sent him 1 Peter. I have a message out of 1 Peter 1 through 2 on the gospel. And I sent you that, and I said, you need to listen to this. And here you go, Brother Spencer. I said, because you had all these crazy questions about psychedelics and Nephilims, and I'm like, you probably need to listen to Third Adam.
I'm pretty sure I brought up ashwagandha to you.
Yes, you did. You did. And I mean, we were having some crazy conversations.
Yeah.
And so I sent him that gospel message. I said, you and your wife need to listen to this because you told me she was Catholic. Mm-hmm. And I said, y'all need to listen to this. And then y'all need to watch Third Adam. Yeah. And I said, my friend, Mark Wheeler, is preaching for my dad here at Ridge Road, where I'm pastoring now. He's preaching for my dad Sunday morning. Y'all should come because it was the next Sunday that y'all came.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And that's an important part too.
The story's long.
It is.
It's a great story. We need to hear it. People need to hear this.
When you sent me the gospel, or when you sent me
that message.
Yes, when you sent me that message, not only did I watch that, and look, man, I was, again, like I said, I had a long ride home every day. I was able to listen to that kind of thing, and I didn't just watch that series of messages. I watched everything on your channel, literally everything. You know, even down to the Sabbath series.
Yeah.
I had no idea what that was.
I know the Sabbath can't save me.
Yeah. And I watched every single third Adam that came out at that time.
Yeah.
And it was now that one took them a little bit.
Hey, you hear that, Brother Spencer? You owe me some royalties for sponsoring that. You putting this out there.
Yeah. Or should need a little stickers.
Yeah, I need stickers.
Yeah. But I watched every one, and I think, did you watch them all, or did you just watch the first two?
I think I watched the first 3.
Oh, the first.
It took me a while to finish it, but
and you listened to that message on 1 Peter, I think. By the time y'all came to the camper.
Well, you listened to 3 or 4. You listened to 3 or 4 gospel messages in the truck with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, we didn't know anything about it yet, you know. What would you
So the next thing was Sunday morning. So what was that talk like? Like, how did y'all?
Well, after
you got home.
After I got home, I told her about the conversation, and she was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." It's like I don't know what any of it meant. And that's when you told me. That's when you told me
about the porch.
About her praying for me, and I was like, "What in the world are you praying for me for?"
At that point, that was like 3 weeks after the fact.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, what went through my head whenever you said that is why, and I'm not trying to make like clips or anything like that. I'm not trying to say nothing, you know. Why would you be praying for me when we have everything we need right here?
Yeah.
I was like, man, we've got it all. What in the world are you doing? You don't do that. It was almost like offensive. That's what I took it as, and she got a little emotional about it, and I was like, oh man, she's
serious.
This is.
I was
serious.
crying.
Yeah, this is serious. So, and I don't think. Did you invite me after you sent me those messages?
No, I invited you that day. I said,
it was that day.
You need to, I said, I'm not normally in town. And I said, one of my best friends, Brother Mark Wheeler, is going to be preaching at my dad's church. Yeah. And I said, you need to come and hear him. So, and you had not been to anything but a Southern Baptist church, and that was pre-10 years old.
Oh, man, I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, you don't remember that. And all you had ever experienced really was Catholicism.
Yeah.
And contemporary. Y'all had been to some contemporary type, non-denominational type deals.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I want to hear y'all's. So you come home, you start discussing. So I didn't know you cried that day. Mm-hmm. That's great. That's wonderful that you told him that you were praying. Mm-hmm. So what happened? Like, okay, that's on Thursday. That was on a Thursday.
Yes, sir.
What happened that weekend? Like, what was the conversation like? Like, because I didn't bug you. I just invited you that one time. I didn't know if you would come or not.
Saturday night, I started getting nervous. I really did. I started getting nervous. You know, I don't know. It was a. And to be honest, I think we were even trying to watch Third Adam on the TV.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So God was
older TV.
God was working on y'all.
Oh yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 What, Miss Savannah? What were your thoughts? So you tell him this. You're weeping. You get sincere with him.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What's going through your mind right now?
That I'm going to hell and I don't know what's going to happen to you. I didn't understand the whole process of, because I grew up Catholic, I didn't know really what religion, so to speak, you had practiced, because our entire relationship, we've never stepped foot in a church. Mm-hmm. We've never really talked about religion. The only time religion came up was when we got married.
What kind of wedding?
Yeah, who's going to do our wedding? Where are we going to do it?
I was trying to convince her that we're good people. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That day?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When she told me that she was praying, that's what I tried to do. I tried to convince her that we were good people.
Wow.
I didn't know necessarily. I don't think I ever told her that we were going to heaven. But
No.
I thought in my head, well,
we're okay.
We haven't done anything necessarily wrong, so we can't be,
Y'all been doing a lot wrong.
Oh yeah.
Just didn't know it. Here, the light had not shined out on y'all. Y'all were just getting exposed to the light, and it stings at first. Salt stings before it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
So y'all were literally watching. I had no idea. So this is the part I didn't know. Y'all are like trying to watch Third Adam on your TV. Y'all are riding down the road, listening to gospel messages together.
Yes,
That's amazing. And so Saturday night comes. You're nervous. You're trying to watch a little Third Adam. Go from there.
So, we ended up watching Third Adam. It was,
For those of y'all, let me explain this. So Third Adam is a series that my friend, Brother Spencer Smith, has put out on his channel. Missionary Spencer Smith, I think, is what his channel's still called. He's got 4 parts now, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And it unveils mystery religion and the actual darkness that is being portrayed as religion in our day. And so because of the content of our discussion, I don't just hand that out to lost people typically. I don't think other than y'all, I've ever just handed that over to a lost person. And I was even kind of nervous because there's some pretty serious things.
Well, I think we were, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I think we were very much in the, I don't want to say we were conspiracy theorists, but we always checked everything out.
No, conspiracy truthists, but go ahead.
But, and we always had, we were just curious.
Yeah, you don't have to beat around the bush. We were definitely conspiracy theorists.
Okay.
Yeah.
100%.
Then we were.
They had them tinfoil hats under
everybody
the
was against us. Yeah, I thought we were going to go live underneath a rock somewhere.
Yeah.
Come out.
So it was like right up our alley to watch it, and little did we know how much truth there actually was in it.
Yeah. We didn't even have to watch all at the time, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
We didn't even have to watch all 3 of them. Literally the first episode, the first Third
installment.
Album, the first video, he hit on the song that I heard that night at church.
Wow.
He hit on the group that I heard. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what the song was called at the time at the church. I didn't know what what the name of the band, I'm going to call it a band, the band was. I had no idea. Well, I found out who they were, and I played it dozens of times after to get that euphoria. I did, and it worked. Yeah. Every time I got in the truck or something like that, we was having a good day or something like that, I'd turn that song on.
Sounds like there might be something behind that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so I'll put that in the description. I'll put the Third Adam playlist in the description. Y'all came to church that Sunday, and I don't want to skip over the maybe the battle or the thoughts coming into church or getting here, but y'all came to church, and I don't know if you remember this. This is the first thing you mentioned to me. Like, man, everything is like wrong. You said that.
Yeah.
You said everything is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it made it a little bit easier to come here.
Okay.
I think it made it a little bit easier to come here. So I was talking to Daniel on the way home after I got off the phone with you.
Oh wow!
And
that's
my brother.
That's Brother Trent's older brother that I grew up being best friends with.
Yeah. So and obviously he had been here before.
Yeah.
And I was asking him about it, and he was telling me about it. And he was like, "Oh yeah, he's like, that's good. You'll be able to go up there and hear this and that." And I was like, "Oh, nothing wrong." Okay. So it definitely made it a whole lot more comfortable to come in here, and I was gonna come regardless whether it was or not. We've done watched all this video. We spent all this time watching all these videos. Your videos, your messages online. I found more messages other than your YouTube channel of you just out and about preaching. You just
like the gospel tent, all that stuff.
I typed in your name and there was messages with you pre-beard. I listened to. That's no lie.
God bless your heart.
Yeah.
No, let me say, if you find a video on YouTube of me preaching before my beard, not that my beard helped my preaching, but I can't be held accountable for everything I might say in those messages.
Yeah. So there really wasn't I was less nervous after I got off the phone with Daniel.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
100%. And I didn't even really go to him like to ask him about it. I just told him about it. And he was like, "Oh man, you're going. It'll be good. Whatever." Yeah. What was you?
Well, I was just gonna say. So now it's Sunday morning. Y'all walk in here, and the place is pretty packed. It was
There was only like 4 or 5 pews on this side.
Yeah, that was so. At that time, I mean, it was the church was running pretty good, and and it was very vibrant in here. And people were shouting and worshiping. Brother Mark Wheeler, if you never listened to him, you need to go look him up. He's got a YouTube channel as well. But Brother Wheeler was shucking the corn morning. Like he's a mountain preacher, but he's got an earned doctorate. This man is not some dummy. He has got the hand of God on him. He's got doctrine. And so I had told him what we talked about, but I didn't go into like, hey, he's struggling with a revelation or whatever, with the book of Revelation. And Brother Mark comes in that morning and basically preaches an overview message of the whole book of Revelation. So I want to get both, because obviously, Miss Savannah, you have never in the papacy, in Rome, you've never been in anything like this. Mm-mm. And I mean, at least it was in English, right? It's not in Latin. You've been, Rock Jam for the Lamb and some old SBC stuff way back in the day. Yeah. I want to get both of y'all's, what in the world were you thinking? You go first.
Okay. So going to the Catholic Church, I feel like everything was just very stick quiet. I mean, there was no shouting at whatsoever.
Ain't nothing to shout about.
No, it was just dead silence, and nobody... That's all I can say about it. It was just silent. And coming here, it was very welcoming, which was very different from a Catholic church. Not to put out Catholic churches like that, but
that's the one thing that got me.
Yeah, it was so welcoming. Yeah. I've never experienced that in a church ever. And I've been to other Baptist churches, but I've never experienced a welcome like that. But it was very overwhelming at certain points, because he was going and people were yelling, and I'm not used to that whatsoever. So I was like, whoa.
I wish y'all could have seen me trying to see y'all. Y'all know I don't have any peripheral vision. Yeah. And y'all are on the other end of the pew, and I'm like, what are they thinking?
I look back at it now, man. I'm like, man, I wish I saved it. I'd have gotten the glory.
Yeah. But it was just very overwhelming. I don't think I knew what to take from it, because it was just so much. I was just not used to any of it.
Somebody got saved that morning?
Yeah, I don't even remember that, to be honest. It was just right in your face. I was not prepared for that at all.
The women yelling got you.
Yeah, I was.
Now, let me say this: they don't like yell out at people. They're shouting.
Yeah, but I knew it was a good time, but it was so overwhelming that it was hard for me to remember what he even preached on, because I just didn't know what to think of any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got back in the. Oh, brother. Yeah. Well,
tell about when you got back in the truck. Go ahead.
We got back in the truck, and I could tell Savannah was like
shocked.
What did we just go to? And I was like, man, I loved it. It was great. There was people. I mean, I didn't know what he was saying or nothing like that. I had no idea. Now, from watching your messages, him just pulling Jesus out of the context of that scripture, I saw it.
Yeah.
I heard it.
Yeah.
I knew what he was talking about there.
Yeah.
I didn't know it into a depth, but I knew he was talking about Jesus at some point in that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I sat back. People were shouting. People were, this and that. And I know. And I figured, I was like, man, these people here. This is not an act. These people really, really believe that book. They really believe that book. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's what went through my head the entire time on the way home. I didn't even.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Right. I didn't know what to. I didn't know what to think other than that.
Well, so I asked you that day. I was like, hey, y'all need to come over and have supper. Which, those of you don't know, we live in a camper, and so. They probably thought we were in a cult or whatever. I don't know if y'all thought that or not, but
not yet.
So not yet, yeah. So that meeting only went till Wednesday, and we were in town because my boy had a surgery, and so they were coming up. I asked y'all to come over Thursday, and you said after work, and so it was funny. We found out we had even more in common, after y'all got there, because we're conspiracy truthers as well. Yeah. And I mean, we keep getting, the further we go along, like, there's really no conspiracy anymore. It's just all there. But that's a whole other podcast. But y'all come in and everything it's like everything just hit it off.
Yeah.
Like, but I want y'all, because y'all's description of walking up in our camper, it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. I knew you lived in the coach for some time out of the year. I did not know you lived in it full time.
He didn't tell me anything at all.
No.
We thought you were going to subdivision.
We were just going.
We just pulled up. We just pulled up, and I was like, "Are we here?" And you're like, "Yeah, get out." I was like, all right, I guess we're going. I don't know who it is, but we're going.
Up to Hewett Hill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Are we here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess we're here." I mean, that's his camper. That's the one I saw.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I guess we're here."
Jesus loving hippie.
Yeah, whatever. But you're right though. As soon as man, there was like literally as soon as the door opened. And what's crazy is man, can I say
go for it. Be honest.
What's crazy is when you open up the door, it was so welcoming, and I'm not lifting you up, I'm not lifting your kids up or your wife up or anything like that. But it was welcoming. It was very it's refreshing to think about now. That was the first impression of a Christian home that come to my mind.
Wow.
That really set in. I was like, man, let's go ahead.
I felt so comfortable with Miss Chloe.
I mean,
as soon as we walked in, she was just cooking away, and it was just such a relaxed.
I noticed the cast iron.
Cast iron. I was thinking cast iron.
I think that was the first thing. In the mule cups, the copper cups.
Yep.
Yeah, those were.
Praise God, these are my cups.
We got Berkey. We got raw milk. We got all that.
Yeah.
We're eating deer meat.
Yep.
I think we ate deer meat that night.
We did.
Sausage and eggs.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Praise
Makes
God.
me hungry right now. Sorry, Miss Savannah. She's hungry.
It was I am starving, but.
What were you saying? You were going to go in.
It was just she was just such a comforting. She didn't even have to say anything. I just felt comfortable around her all of a sudden. I think that just speaks on her, I don't know how to put this, but I guess like her godliness.
Yeah.
And it was just so, because I've never been around a woman like Miss Chloe. Every woman that I've been around has been very loud and just a loud person. That's what I've been around. Yes.
What'd you
say? Yankees.
Yeah.
And being around her, she was just very quiet and just mellow. And it was so easy to go in there and talk to her. There was never a moment where as soon as we walked in, all the nerves went away. Because I was nervous, because I didn't know who you were. All I knew is that you were some guy that my husband knew from a really long time ago. And that was it. He gave me no other information other than that you guys were an evangelist, and I had no idea what that even was. Yeah.
One more thing.
Yeah.
About that topic right there. When we walked in, it did feel comfortable. Absolutely, that was great. Another thing I noticed: your kids. They were not standoffish at all towards us, and they've only seen me one time before. No, twice before, and they weren't standoffish at all. And that's what I thought coming over to your camper. I thought, man, these people, and like I said, I knew of you. I knew of you, not only just from Daniel, but I've heard people talk about you in the past and this and that. And I don't know. I thought I knew your kids were homeschooled.
Yeah, them homeschool kids are unusual. They're not socially.
That's what I thought.
Thank God they don't think they're cats.
That's what I thought. I thought we were going to go in there and it was going to be. We were going to have to. We were not going to be able to say anything.
We were going to have to
like this.
find out how to.
Yeah.
We're going to have to find a way how to get out.
Yeah, and man, it was a totally different atmosphere than what I was thinking. It would be like. Buddy and Little come up to me and they were absent. Buddy. I think that night I played more with a little kid, and I have I don't even know how many
11 nieces and nephews.
My word, son. And it was like I was playing with a little nephew of mine.
That and I'm gonna say this, Miss Savannah. I honestly believe that God's put some type of magnet in my wife. She does not try to be an influencer, I guess would be the phrase. She's not on social media. How many women do we know that's not on social media?
Yeah.
I mean,
I tried to look her up.
Your wife's the only one.
I mean, I know look, if you go on Facebook, it's Chris Chloe Hewett. My wife don't get on Facebook unless somebody got married or had a baby.
Brother, it takes her 2 weeks to answer a text.
Yeah. I mean, she would have a flip phone, so she is like we don't have cable TV. Now we watch some things, but we don't watch satellite. We don't watch. My wife is so removed from culture.
Praise God.
Yes, and I think that women get around my wife, and she's not clouded like so many women in our day of what's going on here, what fashion, what. I mean, my wife and I mean, look, y'all know I would go buy her clothes if she wanted them. Like, she's still wearing skirts she had when we got engaged. You know, like she's just so far removed from keeping up with anything and I think it's refreshing to people. And I'm so thankful for her. And she'll kill me for talking like this, but you know, praise a virtuous woman, his wife.
Yes, sir.
Or her husband praised her in the gates. You know, this is as close to the gates as we got in our day, and it's encouraging to hear that, because I do think she makes people feel very comfortable, which is good, because I'm very brash. You know, I'm very wide open, so it's good. She completes me. You know, and the children, because this is all they've ever done, they are very good with people. You know,
brother. They're so good to an extent that I think since you're there and you see it all the time, I don't think you realize the impact that your kids put on people's lives. Yeah. Very, 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 very much so was I. It was like being at my. I know you're not my blood brother by any means. But it was like walking into my brother's house and seeing my niece.
Yeah. And this wasn't the first time that I had ever spoken to Miss Chloe. It was the second time that I had spoken to her. And the first time I told her that she was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, you told her, you said, when I came in here, you took my breath away. Yeah. That's what you said.
That's literally what popped into my mind as soon as I saw her.
You said it again in the truck.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. She still is. But yeah.
She's blushing right now as soon as she gets
she's gonna blush if she gets online and listens to it. I think she will, because it's y'all. But she literally that Family Matters one with Brother Doug and Miss Chris. Y'all don't take offense to this. She still hasn't listened to it, and she wants to. She just does her thing, and so we get in there. We're eating supper. Had a great meal. Sorry, Miss Savannah. I'm hungry too. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all.
You're good.
Should have ordered pizza.
We sit there, we eat supper, and then I think, you know, did I ask y'all if y'all had questions? How did that start?
Brother, I don't know. I remember you wanting to. I remember. No. I'm sorry. You asked me before we came. You're like, hey, I want to. If y'all have any, I'd like for y'all to come over and answer any questions y'all have. And this and that. And I was like, man, we got a lot of questions. Yeah. So we, you know, after we ate, and we asked you a couple of things while we was eating supper, but we kind of just, you know, reminisced and had good conversations about different things. But you was like, all right, y'all got some questions for me, and I was like, absolutely. And then you pull, and matter of fact, I come with my mama's white.
I remember that, her little paperback Bible,
King James Bible.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, you said you can have it, and you laid your Bible open on the table right there in front of us, and I wanted to know what you meant about me being lost.
Yeah.
And that was we dove into Genesis 3.
And I remember something. And for the preachers watching this, I want you to know, here we have a mid-20s American in the South Bible Belt couple who would have told you 3 months prior that they were saved or religious or going to heaven. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair to say. And I looked at Miss Savannah that night, and I remember saying, look, I said, I don't know y'all's biblical background, so I'm just going to treat y'all like you, I'm going to teach this like you don't know anything. Do you remember what you said?
I don't know anything.
Yeah. She said, we don't. And so we did. We started. I say this all the time. The gospel doesn't start in John 3. It starts in Genesis 3. And so we walked for an hour. This was so refreshing. Y'all telling me that y'all had listened to those gospel messages and that y'all had, obviously I knew that by then that y'all watched Third Adam, but that y'all had been listening to the gospel messages and all of this, and I'm just like, this is crazy. On my end, I'm like, I tell people to listen to stuff all the time. They don't ever listen to stuff. I'm still in. I mean, I'm in shock. You know. Was you gonna say something, brother?
No. It was. You were exactly right. It is. I'm glad you sent it to me at the time that you sent it to me. Yeah. Because I was
in crisis.
Man, I was open. I was open. I was going to listen to anybody that told me what to do.
Wow. And you hear that people are out there that we think are okay, that are living the American dream, and from the outside looking in, we think they're fine. But the Trent and Savannah were not fine. They were empty. They had everything, but they were empty. And so we started going through Genesis 3 about sin. They didn't understand sin. They didn't understand how we've offended God, how we've been separated from God. We went through all of that, and then ended up at Calvary, about how Jesus became our sin, about how he took our sin to the cross. And I did not know at this time, Miss Savannah, that I didn't know what you did for a living. I had no idea the life. I had, look, you're an Ellis. I had an idea of the life you lived, drinking, partying, things like that. And I don't think y'all were partying as much at that point. It wasn't wild. But y'all were living a pretty wild life as far as your extracurriculars, if I say it that way.
Yeah.
And I had no idea your job, Miss Savannah, at this point. I didn't know any of this. And so when I got to talking about sin, y'all's whole countenance was just like, whoa. We didn't know that God had been dealing with you about all this. And so I went through the whole gospel trying to answer y'all's questions. Yeah. And those of you that might be watching today, because I'm hoping people watch this that don't understand the gospel, Christ Jesus died for your sins. He became your sin. You know, outside of Christ, you cannot go to God. And that night we talked about repentance, is how it's not a work, it's a ceasing from works, how that our righteousness, our works and our wickedness cannot help us, and that we are damned, we are condemned, and then talked about faith and real faith, real biblical faith, about trusting the gospel. And this is one of my favorite things ever. I said, for some reason, oh wait, you were kind of like hesitant. You remember about kind of like being hesitant about, because you said you couldn't live it. You remember?
Oh yeah, because I said I couldn't live it because I didn't think I could give all that stuff up.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could live that kind of lifestyle. And
you remember what I said?
Yeah, you're right. You can't live it because you don't have the liver in you.
Yeah, and he thought, did you think liver like?
Bro, I didn't know what. I didn't know what.
So I explained to him when I said you're right. I said you can't live it, but when you get saved, the liver moves in you, and I explained to you the Holy Ghost, about the Spirit of God moving inside of you.
The if I can
go ahead.
The whenever you went, you opened up the Bible and went through the Bible with us from Genesis 3 to John 3, and even further on.
I didn't like stop at Ezekiel or Jeremiah. I mean, we skipped around, y'all.
No, but that's what I was gonna say, man. If I don't ever, because Holy Ghost does a drawing.
Yes, sir.
I know that. I know that. I don't know if it would have been the same outcome if you would have not taken me to Genesis 3. That fig leaf religion, when you showed me that, it was it. I think I understood. I think I understood when we were in Genesis.
It shattered you.
I really do. I really think so. Man, after seeing that they sowed in fig leaves and that God put coats of skin on them, it was like, man, so what he was saying on the phone that night was true. We can't do this ourselves.
Yeah.
I can't, nothing that I'm doing right now, I'm not going to be able to build anything to get to God. I'm not going to make my own Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I turned to you. And by this time, because I explained the liver, the Spirit of God moving in us, and He enables us to live the Christian life. I by this time y'all were both, and Trent was this big bad cowboy dude, at that, and he's trying not to cry. Yeah. He's like, I can see him, but you had like makeup running down your face, if I remember right. I did. And so I look at y'all and I said, what? And this is how I end a witness. because it's not my job to save anybody. You talked about it's the Spirit's job to draw, and it's not my job to save anybody. And I said, what do you want to do with this? And you said,
what do I do?
Yep.
I don't know what we do.
What do we do? And so they went over to the couch there in the camper, knelt down and called on the Lord in faith and put their faith in the gospel, and tears all over the recliner, the couch. And Brother Trent grabs my arm as soon as he gets done, and he said, we got to talk. And obviously, even that night, we started trying to walk through you getting out of that line of work.
Yeah.
And
there was something, man, I don't want to sound like mystical or anything like that, but I knew, and I don't know if it's even, brother, I don't know how to explain that, but after I got saved, and obviously you got saved too, but I don't want to conjoin, it was I got saved, you got saved. It was, I knew something had to change. The Lord dealt with me very, very fast about something very particular. And it was, I say her line of work, but I was backing her 100%.
Because you like the money.
Because I like the money. I did.
We even started a second business on top of that.
We started a second business off the business that we started, that we already had running.
Yes,
we were 3 months in of the second business and completely stopped all things with the second one and then completely shut it down.
And had invested a lot of money.
Yes.
And I'm not at all saying that this is like you have to change to do something. I'm not saying that at all. But I will say God smote our heart very, very fast about something very particular. It was almost like I was like, man, we cannot go forward unless we change something. Yeah. Unless this changes, we're not going to be able to go forward.
Because the liver was in.
And nobody ever told me.
No.
Nobody ever told me.
I didn't know.
Brother Chris didn't know. You didn't. We didn't talk about it. We didn't converse about it in the camper. You were still had the big old gator tears coming out of your eyeballs. But I knew that God wanted us to change something.
And y'all talked to me about it that night, and I, we started talking about a plan. Of legalities of it. How do you get out of this and all this. And y'all remember y'all didn't leave till after 1 a.m. that morning.
No, brother, we actually got back into the Bible.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. That's exactly right. We got back into the Bible.
Yeah.
We talked through some things about that, and then y'all came to Jubilee the next week. So y'all, they came to Bible Baptist Jubilee, which starts tomorrow. You'll be seeing this Tuesday, I think, during the Jubilee if you're watching this, and walking into that room with 1,500 people, that are all like,
what in the world?
Yeah, that's when they thought they joined a cult. Yeah. No Kool-Aid, no Kool-Aid. No. So, okay, let's talk about meat and potatoes, because I had been, for years, had interns in the summer when I was in missions evangelism, and I had been discipling young people that had been in church most of their life. Y'all two, and then Miss Leah were really my first trial run of discipleship. Yes, outside of church kids, like people that already knew most of what I already knew, And so what starts changing in y'all's life? And you talk about, and I want you to, you were lost, you didn't know, and then you got saved, you didn't know about the alcohol, the other stuff, all that. I don't know how much you want to go to, and it's fine. I want you to, because people need to know. There's a bunch of whack jobs out here who think you need to go have some kind of spiritual seance after you get saved to get rid of stuff.
Don't go do ashwagandha.
Yeah.
Go find yourself.
Yeah.
Do that.
No, if you find yourself, you're going to be disappointed in what you find.
Amen.
So talk about this growth right after y'all got saved.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I actually had a little bit. I actually got convicted in the parking lot at Jubilee.
Yeah. About dipping snuff.
Dipping snuff, yeah.
That and those of y'all that may not know, somebody might be in like Papua New Guinea watching this. We grew up in a culture where men put tobacco in their lip for the high of nicotine, and that's very big here. And I started when I was 12. How old were you? 12 years old. So you know, you're not supposed to start till after you're 18, but don't tell. I mean, them convenience stores, man. They want that business.
No doubt.
They want that business. If you can say over the counter, you can get it. But so God dealt with you there about that. Nobody preached on that,
brother. Nobody, man, nobody ever told me that I had to do anything. Yeah. Nobody ever told me I had to do anything. Nobody ever told me I had to change something, to do something, to get somewhere, to have something, to be spiritual. Nobody told me anything like that. It was just, I felt bad. I don't know how else to put that. No, I was convicted.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know if anybody watches this that's lost, I don't know if they're going to know what conviction is.
Yeah.
But I felt I was burdened. I knew God did not like what I was doing.
Less than a week after you got saved,
brother. Very much so, and it was something even quicker. And again, I feel like I need to say that every time. It's not about the change.
No, I understand.
But my mouth.
Yeah.
The cussing.
I was really bad at that.
I think besides, and we had contracts that were signed and this and that for the company that we had to work through, right? So we weren't all the way done with it yet. We knew we had to get out of it. We weren't advertising to do anymore. But I will say one of the first things that God smote my heart with, and smote her heart with, was our mouths.
Yeah. That was the second language for me.
We've always been the music.
And Third Adam deals with the music, because you talked to me that Sunday morning like, man, like,
oh yeah,
music is bad.
Yeah.
That's what you said. I said, no, not all music's bad.
And we, you know, I listened. I never listened to newer country music. Definitely not newer country music that was around 2 years ago. But I didn't even listen, like we talked about the other day. I didn't really listen to 90s country or nothing like that. It was old, just hard country music. These men were living hard lives.
Outlaws. And they were living everything they sang about, and you listened to rap.
Yeah. I did very much.
Word.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. And so
I hated
music, different snuff, alcohol. I mean, did God deal with y'all immediately about
So the alcohol part, I didn't pour it out yet. I didn't pour the alcohol out yet. We did not.
Alcohol wasn't big for us though.
At that
point? Was period. At that point of our lives, we were kind of shying away from it at that point because we had something else.
Yeah.
Yes.
And y'all can talk about it, because I think people need to hear it.
Yeah. So I'm not ashamed, because we heavily smoked weed. So we smoked marijuana.
Yeah. Potheads.
I didn't want.
But people need to hear it, because people are dealing with it.
Yeah. You know, it wasn't. I'm not saying that like we were like some fiend.
No, I understand.
We just I enjoyed doing it. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed doing it with my wife. We laughed, we giggled, we this and that. But man, it just kept. Even before I knew this was getting to an extent, before I even got saved, it was getting too much.
Yeah.
Because we would, is it okay if I go?
Oh yes, sir.
Okay, we would go. I would come home, and we would smoke a little bit. We get done eating, smoke a little bit.
Yeah.
Wasn't good enough. Before we go to bed, smoke a little bit. Mm-hmm. 2 or 3 months goes by, brother, and as soon as I get home, that's the first thing we want to do. We do it again. It ended up going to where we were doing it 4 or 5 times a night. Mm-hmm. And then on the weekend,
just
Saturday
night,
me and Savannah were, we never had any. We always. There's always something going on around the house. Of course, always something. We were stoned when we did it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was just me and her. We didn't have any. Nobody was there to bother us.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it that way, but no. We had no kickback from anybody. We could do that all
by yourself.
All we wanted to. Mm-hmm. And my wife was in it. I loved it that she was in it. Right. I will say that God put it on my heart that we need to quit a month after we got saved.
Yeah, after you got saved. And nobody's preaching on it.
No, sir.
No, I did not know.
Nobody had even said any. I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Nobody had even taught. I don't even think anybody knew necessarily that we were smoking weed.
Nobody did.
Smoking weed. Yeah.
I mean, I know we did it that night that we got saved.
Yes.
And then we both looked at each other, and I remember looking at you and saying,
"No, I remember.
This feels kind of weird."
Yes.
Like, it feels wrong what we just did.
Yeah. So like 2 weeks later, we ate a gummy.
Yeah.
And they were really, really strong gummies. And I looked at you and I said, "We're gonna quit this. We're gonna put this down right now."
We threw it all away.
She said. She looked at me.
Wow.
She looked at me and she said, "Are you sure?"
Wow.
I was like, "Yeah, we're
That's
gonna
amazing.
get rid of it."
Because it wasn't cheap.
No, brother.
So-
We spent a chunk of change on it.
Yeah.
A chunk of change. Every other week, brother.
So the alcohol was not the major issue.
No, so-
I mean, you got rid of it, but no. And again, that's what I was getting at a while ago. I didn't know y'all were doing that. No, nobody here, and I wasn't here all the time. I was discipling y'all through Marco Polo app mostly, and answering your questions.
Yeah.
But y'all immediately got in church and started coming to church. Nobody's preaching on that. That's not something you just hear preached on all the time, you know. But God, the Holy Ghost, was working on y'all, and nobody's making you do
Brother,
it.
very mildly, like it was.
Very
So
random.
let me talk about the alcohol. It was, I'm not at all saying that we were some like. I'm not going to give you a sob story about like how we were crazy drunks or nothing like that. That was not the case at all. But whenever there's whenever there's drinking involved, we would get involved with the drinking, and we would drink just as much as they did.
Yeah.
Just like every lost
If you were with other people.
yes, just like every other lost person that is around alcohol usually that drinks, they're gonna do the same thing. And I'll be straight up honest with you. The reason why we kind of started to shy away from alcohol even before we got saved. Really the reason why we started dipping in the pot is that we went over to her mom and dad's one night for her little brother's birthday, and I got extremely intoxicated, and it was one of them times where like you don't remember anything, and I've gotten like that a handful of times, but not crazy.
This was the worst.
This was no doubt the worst time, and man, I just ended up doing some very, very, very stupid things, and I had seen what alcohol can do. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Like, and I know, like I was like, man, all right, this we don't need to do this anymore. This was. So it got to the point where I would fill a whiskey glass up, and with about that much apple juice in it, and then I would fill the rest of it up with whiskey. No, I mean I'd say like fill it.
Yeah,
up. It was like that much whiskey.
Yeah.
In there. But I would drink that, every night, every other night.
Yeah.
Never got, I was used to the alcohol. I never got drunk. Which as soon as it hits your gut, you're already,
And getting intoxicated.
But
you're getting intoxicated.
I will say, after that night that you had mentioned, you never picked it up again.
No.
It stayed in our cabinet, and it stayed just
No.
How about
nothing. Never touched it.
And let me say this. I was going and drinking alcohol at somebody's house. You don't want to do anything. You don't know what you're doing.
You feel vulnerable. You're
Brother,
very vulnerable.
You will do anything if it sounds like a good time. You'll do anything. And I'll say this, and you treat people that you love very dearly.
Yes, sir.
The wrong way.
The wrong way.
Very much so.
You it really does turn you into another person. It is designed.
Oh, very much.
It when you get intoxicated, whether it's by marijuana or whether it's by alcohol, obviously they do two different things. It's essentially to your brain, but it does turn you into a different person.
It absolutely turned you into a different person.
Yeah.
I didn't treat my wife right. I wasn't. Even in my it was just there, and there's a clear distinction too in between between being lost and being in a marriage and
being saved
and being in a marriage. Being saved in a marriage, you're supposed to love your wife as Christ loved the church.
Yes, sir.
Being lost, it was a competition.
Yeah.
Hey, you did this to me this long ago. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to get to do this.
And everybody was losing. You're keeping score, so everybody was losing.
We were cutting each other down.
Yeah.
And it more or less, and I'll be honest with you, it was me more than it was her. I'm not saying that I went over there and beat on her or nothing.
No,
like that.
no.
But there's, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with everybody on the camera. There was stuff being thrown sometimes. There's stuff. I mean, there was.
It's that, but unfortunately, that is the normal in people's marriage.
Yes,
and if you're living in that kind of situation, you don't have to. I'm not saying divorce. I'm saying get saved.
Yes, sir.
I'm saying get saved, and Christ can change every bit of that.
Brother, he we shied away from drinking. We even before we got saved, this and that, and just doing that, was completely different in our but mine and her relationship. We both agreed a long time ago that we probably before we got divorced, we're probably gonna kill each other before we got divorced. And that was whatever.
Glad that neither one of those came
up. Yeah, me and you both, brother. But after we got saved, it was a night and day difference with our relationship. We were always fighting. We were always bickering. Look, and I'm not saying that you won't fight and you won't bicker after you get saved.
But it changed.
You will.
Yeah.
But all right. For instance, we would be going somewhere like to a friend's house or mom and daddy's house or her parents' house or something like that, and we would argue and we would be mad at each other the entirety of the day. Now, if we start bickering at each other, we're bickering. Mm-hmm. Either one of us apologizes and say, we know we can't be like that when we get into church. Mm-hmm. God deals with our heart immediately.
It's amazing.
And man, if you're having problems like that, and not it doesn't have to be crazy marriage problems. I'm not saying that. You're just tired of getting in arguments all the time.
Yeah. Salvation changes
that.
Spirit-filled life, salvation, a spirit-filled life. And, I look at y'all, and y'all like cherish each other. And either you're acting really good, you're all putting on a good act, or y'all really do.
I don't deserve it.
And I feel like y'all cherish each other. Y'all are a good example to the young people here, and I appreciate it. I want to ask y'all this. Y'all remember? So April 17th, I looked it up, and I'll put the picture on the video. April 17th was our first official get together discipleship. Mm-hmm. Miss Leah and Malia or Moon, they come over to your house. We're there. We're having discipleship. You cook. And do y'all remember what our first topic was?
Alcohol.
It was alcohol. Yeah. We walked through the Bible about
the chain back.
we walked through a Bible chain about what the Bible has to say about alcohol, and y'all were just like, the Bible has these answers. Yes,
it does.
And then just moving along like clothes. Okay, Miss Savannah, because of you're growing up in this culture, you dress very much like the culture. Yeah. Well, is that fair to say?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so you came. They were coming to a tent meeting. I know this is a hot topic, but if reformers can talk about it, and if all these influencer women that don't even know Jesus can talk about it, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
You had been taught to dress provocatively, and I'm not being ugly, but it went with your line of work and just
the normal.
Yeah, it was just the normal.
Yeah.
And so y'all are coming to the tent meeting in Danielsville, Indiana, in May. So we got that polo group. Y'all are asking me questions and stuff. What provoked you to ask Miss Chloe what to wear to that? Because that was the text that kind of set this off.
So first I want to mention that I had never even owned a Bible until you had given me
Wow.
one. So that was new.
Wow.
I don't think I had mentioned that before, but yeah, the only Bible.
Mary necklace.
Huh?
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
that.
no.
I did.
Pray to Mary.
I had it on for like years before that. Anyways, it was just normal to have it on.
Yeah.
But the only Bible I did have was like a little one this big, and it was like my first Bible of a Catholic Bible. But yeah, you gave me my first Bible. But anyways, as far as dressing, I noticed what Chloe wore. Yeah. And I noticed what I had worn. I mean, y'all can see it in the picture of the day that we got saved.
I'll post that.
Of how she dressed. So I knew in the back of my mind that what I had planned to wear may have not been appropriate to wear to this tent. And I remember looking at Trent and I said, I think I have to wear a skirt. I don't think pants are like approved for this sort of event.
Yeah.
So I remember asking Trent and he was like, I mean, it's fine. It's just you're in pants. And clothes at the beginning were very difficult for me
Precious to you.
Yes.
Oh, brother.
Yes, I love my clothes and I felt like I could express myself through clothes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you do.
Yeah.
You do.
You definitely do.
You express
Yeah.
yourself.
And
You said it all right there by saying that.
yeah. It was just an impression on my heart that what I had thought to wear or what I was going to pack, I might not should wear.
All right,
You know what I mean?
before you go any further, let me just state, we don't make anybody do anything.
No.
Brother Trent already said this. We don't look down on anybody because this is such a hot topic. So I'm just going to give all the preamble to it. Okay, cut y'all off at the pass. We're not legalists. You don't. If you wear something, other than a skirt and you're a lady, we don't think you're going to hell.
No.
All of those things. But I want to get to this because and clothes aren't the end all be all. Right. Alcohol was the first thing we talked about. Obviously, we're talking about, and I think I taught y'all this by this time. I had already taught y'all about dispensationalism, about why we were Baptist, a little bit about the King James Bible. So at this point, I understand this could be a secondary or tertiary issue, but in our culture, we're trained to be androgynous, which, men are to look like girls and girls to look like men, and we're crossing these lines. It's amazing to me without any, nobody's saying anything to you that this is what come to your heart. Yeah. So you go, because this is a cool journey. You tell about the text, and then I'll kind of pick up on my side.
Well, I remember after you had said that, well, we'll come back to you and we'll send you a Marco Polo with Miss Chloe.
Because you text asking about it.
Yeah, I just asked what I should wear. And I wasn't expecting you to Marco Polo me whatsoever because I was like, oh, goodness, what are they going to tell me? I don't know if I'm ready to hear it. Because I kind of had an idea of what you were going to say, but I wasn't sure the biblical reason of why.
You didn't know that they had Bible to back it up.
Yes, I wasn't expecting you to have Bible to back it up. I thought I was good. I thought I was good for a while. But after you had sent that Marco Polo, I kind of just left it.
It scared me to death. Because if you're a preacher watching this and you take any stand on clothes, this is one of the hottest topics of anything. Yeah. This is and it should not be. In Christianity. Obviously, you're a baby Christian, but at the time you were a baby Christian. I'm talking about people been in church their whole life, and this is like, leave a church over it.
Yeah.
We're
only 2 years in this, and then we've noticed that it's a hot topic we love to be.
Yeah, and so like when you ask that through text message, and then I polo, and then I don't hear from y'all for 3 hours, I'm like, oh, Chloe, this is why I had not talked to them about this, and they're gone. We'll never hear from them again, and I'm like, So you go ahead after you gave me a heart attack.
Sorry about the heart attack. No, it's fine. But I kind of just sat with it, and I think I knew in the back of my mind what you were going to say. And I started to go through my closet, and I remember vividly looking at this one shirt that I had worn to Nashville, and it was like, it was the Neon Moon song. It was a shirt talking about the Neon Moon song. And I looked at it, and I was like, that might not be good. So I started to just go through my closet and just
same day?
The same day.
Oh wow!
I
didn't know it was the same
I had
day.
4 trash bags in our our bedroom of clothes that, because I felt like I had just like gone through my closet, looked at it, and I was like, oof, that might not be good.
So okay. When I deal with this issue, I deal with the biblical definition of nakedness, which is Exodus 28.
Yes.
You know, about the thigh. Anything up that above the thigh is nakedness, and then gender distinction, and then we talk about being different. I never went through and said this is a length or this is
no.
So we give you Bible, and this is the Holy Spirit. Is this before? Oh, this was after the polo.
Yeah,
okay.
Directly after.
So I didn't know this. I've never heard this part of the story. So this is crazy. You were going to say something,
brother? I mean, if you're going to continue though, what about that?
No, I just kept going through my entire closet, and anything that felt like was wrong, I put it in the bag.
Yeah, brother. When I come home that night, So I worked late that night.
Yeah.
I had you and Chloe on a studded house, listening to y'all in a basement by myself, and I was pulling wire.
because it was like a 45-minute
Brother, it was
Bible study.
forever. I was like, I gotta get some work done. You know, it was already late. So
I'm scared to death.
Yeah. I know you.
I'm ghosted.
Yeah. I couldn't answer you back at the time. So I get home. I'm running. I work late. I get home late, and I walk in the door. Man, there's like, I don't even know. Probably this woman and her clothes.
I love clothes. I'm sorry.
Man.
I still love clothes.
Real. Okay, so I have one dresser, and it has 5 drawers in it. I only use 3 of the drawers. You have a dresser, a closet, and even 2 of my drawers. So there was a lot of bags. That's why I explained all the quantity of the clothes. There was a lot of bags sitting around the staircase.
Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't get rid of. I did have some pieces that I knew I shouldn't wear.
Can I say something real quick?
What?
I noticed something.
What?
I noticed something because I looked.
What?
You know what's crazy?
What?
The thing you got out that I did not think you were going to get out. Bathing suits.
Yeah.
You got out your bathing suits.
Well, we had a beach trip.
Yeah.
With his family.
I was going to bring that up.
Yes.
Like, what was it?
That
2 months after?
That was May.
Yeah.
And July was the beach trip because it was always at 4th of July.
Yeah.
That was a big deal for me. A big flesh deal for me. Shorts and pants. I was not a skirt or a dress person whatsoever. I loathed dresses and skirts. I had maybe 4 or 5 dresses in my entire closet, and they still weren't appropriate to wear. If you catch my drift. But we were going on this trip, and I don't want to say we fought about the bathing suits, but we had talked about these bathing suits. And
Prior to the Modesty discussion.
No, this was after.
After.
This was after.
Okay.
And I got a little ill about it because I was like, I don't want to wear this. I'm not wearing this. You get to wear your stuff still, and I have to change. I'm mad. I'm mad because I'm going to look like the weird one in front of your entire family on this beach trip, and we haven't even gotten to, like, talk to his family since all of this has happened. So to them, I felt like it was like, this is a weird girl now. Like, you're super weird now. I used to like you guys, but now you're really weird. That's what went through my mind. I know that's probably not what they thought. I mean, maybe, but...
well, to be clear, they just thought we were both weird at that time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up wearing a 2-piece, and in my mind, I made this, like this settlement in my mind.
Justification.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear a 1-piece, and I'll wear this, like, covering skirt to cover the bottom half. And that was my ultimatum. That is where I thought I was going to be okay. We went down to the beach 3 times the entire trip. And his family was down there the entire time. And I could feel like I was wrong.
They didn't say anything to
No.
us.
No,
They didn't
no,
say
no.
anything to us. So if y'all watch this, y'all
No.
know we're not
No.
calling you out
No.
or anything like that.
This is talking about the Spirit of God. dealing
Yeah.
with
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I felt like eyes were on me.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like I needed to, like, conceal myself. I felt like I was, like, way out there. And even in the past, we used to go on family beach trips. I used to wear very scandalous swimsuits for So for me to feel like I needed to cover up with the most modest swimsuit I've ever worn was a big difference for me.
No preacher there, no church there, no Brother Chris there.
No.
That is just so. This is so refreshing, and I've told y'all that over and over again. That for y'all to allow God to work in your lives like that, and He did. It was like radical, radical.
It's because there was Bible.
Yeah.
You know, people say they're Christians, but they don't believe the Bible.
Yeah.
I don't want to say
It's not anybody making you do anything. It's 100% biblical.
And I think people need to hear it. Go ahead, Miss Smith.
I don't want to say that we needed proof by any means, but I don't think we would have dove in as hard as we did if we didn't have so much Bible fact to go with everything that we were facing at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to sound like it was like we were like the chosen, like
No.
kind of thing, but dude, it was like everything that we looked at. If we went through it in discipleship, not just because of the way you said it, it's because of what the book says. It was like, okay, this is we believe this book.
This is real.
This is real. This is the truth. This is what we're going to go with. We're going.
And it had changed your life on that salvation, like peace level, in such a radical way that you could trust it and everything else.
Well, I had immediate relief the night that we got saved.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is what I was praying about on the porch. This is okay. I'm okay now. I'm gonna fix what I had started, and we're gonna be okay.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was immediate trust. Like, there was no hesitation.
And I bring up the modesty issue because it is such a huge issue. Like, I know people that would rather give up alcohol than to give up clothes. And it's so crazy. But I'm seeing in y'all's generation, Gen Z, y'all are at the beginning end of Gen Z, or the starter of Gen Z, there is a move from even influencers that I don't even know that they know Jesus. And I'm sure you've seen some of this, Miss Savannah. I don't even think some of them know Jesus. There is a move towards femininity.
Trab
and
wives.
the first, trab wife, all that, goodness gracious.
Hashtag.
My wife is a traditional wife, and she doesn't have a camera in her face every day.
That's exactly right.
But, and I'm not knocking anybody. I'm making a statement. But, there is a move, and the first thing they do when they become want to become more feminine, is to go put a dress on. And then we as Christians, it's so taboo because everybody, don't put me into legalism, don't put me in a box. We don't do this because we're trying to get saved. We do this because we are saved, and it's what the book says. And it was such a radical change, for y'all. It was just amazing. And y'all, you talked to me a little bit about how y'all felt struggling, about the clothing thing, going to vacation. I remember you talking to me about it, and I was praying for y'all, but I was so proud of you. I mean, and you're not supposed to be proud, but I was so thankful for how y'all handled that, because it wasn't an easy thing, and it was a hard conversation that day. Now, the funny story is, tell them about what happened with all your dresses when you ordered that first Amazon shipment of Modest dresses. Do you remember?
Can I say something about that? You
go ahead. Yeah.
You
always.
Whenever if anybody's watching this that's have husbands have an issue about the clothing, or people just think that people are making we're in a cult or something like that. I've heard that 3 or 4 times now.
Let me say this: if you're not being accused of being in a cult in this generation, you're probably not living biblical Christianity.
That's right. Not living by the book. I thought the feminine type, you know what I mean? Like, I always knew that, a girl wearing a dress, a pretty flowy dress or whatever.
It is feminine. Yeah.
It's I thought it was girly. But I also did not think about the distinction between the two, though.
Yeah, me either.
I thought being feminine was also being in tight clothing.
And
enticing.
I
I thought being feminine was the tatted up women with the
everything hanging out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's how that's right up my alley of line of work of where I was. Yep. It was very much you felt most beautiful with the less clothes you had on.
Yep.
And after I got saved, I remember telling Trent that I felt beautiful, and I had never felt beautiful in my revealing clothes. I had felt, promiscuous in the other tight-fitting clothes and revealing clothes, but I had felt more feminine and more girly when I had dressed more modestly. I felt more confident when I dressed more modestly, and that was a big deal for me. I've never felt like that ever.
So you found your worth in Christ, and it changed all your worldview.
Brother.
You once you get in Christ, it really gives you what you're supposed to be,
yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
And that's why y'all's marriage got better. We didn't put y'all through marriage counseling, but the outpouring of Christ in your life was your marriage got better. You didn't feel the need to be stoned all the time. You didn't need the alcohol. The money didn't mean as much anymore. Something as big as clothes for you was huge, and it didn't mean as much, and it's just amazing.
And like I said, we weren't on the verge of anything like any marriage.
No, I didn't.
But it was, man, it drastically got better. Everything, not just that one thing. Everything got better. Very quickly. Very quickly.
Yeah.
But I remember. I'll talk about the you getting your first your
big order.
Your
Do you remember? You know what I'm talking about, Miss Savannah?
No,
He called me that day. Go ahead. It was funny.
So you got rid of all those clothes, and you went on. I mean, you went on a shopping spree.
You had to.
I still do.
You went on a shopping. Oh, I know you did. So, I think you got comfortable after you saw yourself in your dress.
I did.
In your dresses.
I did.
I immediately got comfortable when I saw you in your dress. I was like, this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is how it's supposed to be. And then God smote my heart. You need to straighten up. You need to treat this woman better.
How about that?
Yeah, you need to treat her better. She's a female. You need to make sure you love on her, care for her, take care of her, lead her.
Not that you didn't do any of that before.
No.
But
I did not do it in the way that I was in a biblical way that I was.
I think though feminine, when a lady dresses feminine, and Miss Chloe's told me this her whole life, or our whole marriage is, she went from wearing rolled up Sophie shorts, and then got into church and changed, and she said all of a sudden it went from men being vulgar towards her, trying to grab her.
That's exactly right.
To opening up doors and allowing her to go first.
Exactly right.
And we're not talking about looking like Little House on the Prairie. You don't look like that, Miss Savannah. We don't modest doesn't mean homely.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm very adamant about that. If you're trying to look so modest or try to look Amish or whatever, it actually does draw attention to you, and it's not modest.
Yes,
right? So there's a balance of you can still be pretty and still be modest, and it was beautiful watching that. So, and what I was talking about is you got home one day and the Amazon driver had put all her packages on the other side of the gate, and the cows had spread her.
Brother.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So dresses spread all over the all over the.
All over. Oh, I was so mad.
Do you send it back or do you wash it?
No, I had to throw it away.
It was
like
bad?
rags.
They ate it.
Oh no!
Oh yes.
I did not know
there was
that
no
bad.
remnants of
Sheen
clothing.
is edible.
Oh wow! Poor
were
cows never
munching
get
on
over
it.
that.
Yeah.
So I remember you called me one day.
Oh,
You're like, you ain't gonna believe this. There's dresses all over our pasture.
Yeah.
So, bringing it home, I would love to hear. Miss Savannah, you could go first, and then Brother Trent, the same question or the same thing. What has it been like? Just summing up the last 2 years, what it's been like for you. What's that been like?
Man, what a question. Surreal almost. Everyone keeps saying, or we keep saying, it's been 2 years, and it doesn't feel like it's been 2 years. It feels like it's been a couple of months since that first moment of salvation. It's just been a roller coaster. Everything has changed in the best way. I feel like when everyone says it all changed, everyone immediately thinks, oh, they stopped drinking, they stopped wearing their bikinis, they stopped doing all this stuff. But it wasn't ever about what we wore or what we consumed. No. Yeah, it was more about how my heart felt and how much peace I had.
God with my life today.
Yeah. It's just been incredible. I really don't have any words to describe the last 2 years. It's just been great.
What about you?
Can I tell you what you told me?
What did I tell you? I don't remember.
She's told me this a couple times.
Yeah.
What?
She says, every once in a while, she says, can you believe that we're even doing this right now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can I believe it?
No.
No. But we're here.
Yeah.
And we're going to be in heaven one day.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling to have. And that's a good. I said I told her the last time she told me that. I said that's a good place to be.
Yeah. We don't deserve to be here.
No.
None of us do.
And I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know what God's got in store for us. I pray about it all the time.
Yes,
I think we're exactly where
in the
we
will
need to
of
be
God
right now. In this church at this place right now. But I tell her, you know. I don't know what God has in store for us in the future, but we're settling in right here. That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep moving forward with it. But if you want,
yes, sir.
You want me to answer?
Yes, sir.
As we continue to grow in the Lord. See, I to me, it doesn't feel like it's been a couple months.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like it's been we've done this for a long time.
So radical that it's like it's always been your life,
brother. It's almost and I. It's
hard to remember BC before.
So
Christ.
I think there's and I'm so glad you just said that. That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that. God, I think it's a gift from God that He has allowed us to move on so fast and so quickly. Like I was saying, we wasn't in some kind of crazy, we weren't, deprived or in some alcoholism or, anything like that. But it's almost like it's a blur, like it was like, man, it almost, it never even happened.
Yeah.
Is that weird to say?
New creature.
No.
Yeah.
But it was.
I understand.
It's almost like it was like. Well, it is. It's under the blood.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. So, and then this is nothing on y'all. This is nothing on me. It's just the glory and grace of God. But God's let y'all see tremendous growth in such a short time. And I even said it today in one of my messages or one of the services. I thought, man, you got to drag people to this point, and and to see, and now we're seeing it in a lot of people, right? We're seeing this kind of change in a lot of people. And it turns out this is what biblical Christianity and discipleship looks like. Okay, that and it's so cool here at the church. A lot of people, we've had so many new people saved. This is all they know. Like when I talk about the other way, they don't even know. They're just like, well, this is all there is. For y'all, this is all there is. And so 14 saved. God has graciously put y'all on what I call a fast track. I thought, but it turns out it's just what Bible Christianity is supposed to be. 2 years down the road, y'all are youth directors. Brother Trent, you're teaching Sunday school. Miss Savannah, you're teaching Sunday school. Y'all are mentoring young people. You have a discipleship group on Tuesday nights for young people. God's let y'all see 14 people saved, like direct family members or friends or whatever. And what would y'all say to somebody that is on the outside looking in that's not saved? A Gen Zer. What would y'all say to them about this life? What would y'all say?
I would say that it doesn't matter what you think you can have in this world. is it going to satisfy? Is it going to be, or are the things in this world going to be your eternity?
Yeah.
Are they going to last? Because they're not. They're going to burn up.
They're going to burn up.
They're going to burn up. What I would say is don't let worldly desires veer you away from God.
Yeah. What about you, Miss Savannah?
I would say, how satisfied are you with your spiritual life? How confident are you in your beliefs? And I'm trying to think of who I would be speaking to right now.
If
the lust-driven young lady, and I'm not being vulgar here, let me say this. The lust-driven young lady that feels like her worth is in showing her body and a body count, and abortion is not out of question, or, she takes her birth control so she can go live how she wants to, and she's driven to have the American dream and girl boss. No man's going to tell me what to do. Yeah. You're sitting there talking to a girl that's on the whatever podcast. That's the kind of girl what I'm talking about.
That was a good example.
Man, I don't want to say that's hard to answer, but it's kind of hard to answer. The girl boss and the boy crazy and the provocative things that you're wearing, that just isn't all there is. There's so much more to life. There's so much more of a just peacefulness that you could have versus what they have now. If I were to be talking to myself, because I feel like I was in that spot a little over 2 years ago, I feel like I would have put up a fight talking to me now, and say the clothes and everything that I was doing isn't all there is to this life. Yeah, that's a hard question.
It's empty.
Yeah.
There's
really nothing to it.
And I want to bounce off of that and say, the end of the day, you were trying to find your purpose in money and having things. Yours was, and I'm not being vulgar, but sexuality. Pushing the envelope, all of those things, the work, the clothes, the life, and y'all found your identity in those things. And now you find your identity in Christ, and there's joy, there's peace, there's love, there's more living going on than there ever has been. And I would say to anybody watching this today, you can have that joy, that peace,
absolutely,
that just in contentment, that purpose. And that's what people are really looking for. They're looking for purpose in life. And it's so real that it'll make you throw all the other stuff away without anybody dragging you to it. And so if you're watching this today, I'll ask you the same thing I asked the Ellises 2 years ago today. What are you going to do with this? And I would hope the answer would be is you would find you a place just to put your faith in the gospel, and that Jesus did everything that you needed to be done.
Amen.
For you to go to heaven.
Amen.
All right.
I was.
Yes, sir.
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
I was. That's when we first started talking about this story, or our testimony. I mentioned that I was walked in Tractor Supply with my head down, and I didn't want anything to do with nobody.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with anything. It was that way. I didn't want anything to do with nobody. Angry. I mean, just for no reason.
For no reason.
People even at work,
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, people even at work were saying I walk around angry all the time.
They thought you were mean.
Yeah, they
and
thought
scary.
I was mean, and I wasn't, but I just didn't want to talk to nobody, and thought I had it all. Didn't know I was empty. I was empty, but I come across you and your family, and I'm not lifting y'all up at all or nothing like that. But this just goes to show you the Christian, what you're living a biblical Christian life in front of a lost person how it can impact that lost person.
Yeah.
I walked past a little girl that had some kind of vein bruise.
Got her birthmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, from when
it
she
looked
was
like a
born.
vein bruise on her forehead. I walked past a lady in a dress, and a little girl in a dress, and I walked past a little boy in a wheelchair. And I walked past you, and y'all look like y'all were the happiest people in the whole world. Again, I'm not lifting you up.
I know.
But the happiness that y'all had, and I'm not saying that I was like some I hated everybody.
You wasn't an axe murderer.
Yeah, I'm not saying that at all. You know, people have read my testimony in my family, and they're like, "Did you have it that bad?" No, I didn't have it bad. I'm not saying that, but I didn't have what I needed, and that was the Lord. And when I walked past y'all and I seen how happy y'all still are, I noticed that I did not have what you had at all. And man, I know I've told Ezra this personally, but Ezra has a lot more impact in my life than you actually know of.
Yeah.
Seeing that little boy in that wheelchair that night, and how happy he talked to me that night. It was very impactful. It impacted me very, very, very much so.
Let your light so shine before men that they might see your good works and glorify the Father which is in heaven. That's Brother Trent's life verse. And I'm a big old nothing, and they would say they're big old nothings.
Oh, yes, sir.
But the joy of the Lord does attract people.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot here on this earth, but what I do have is eternal, and that makes all the difference. And in closing, I would say if you don't have that joy, you need it. You need it. This is very real. It's very life-changing. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank y'all for coming on. And I've been wanting to do this forever. 2 hours almost. This is great.
Really?
Yes, this is great. It's great.
We gotta go to Jubilee.
Yeah, we're going to Jubilee. So, thank y'all, and I can't wait to see what God's going to keep doing with y'all. And look, subscribe, share this, comment. Don't let this go in one ear and out the other. And God bless you. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.